There's fresh hope for a man from Hull trapped in Iraq following months of pressure from his family for the government to help bring him home. A meeting regarding the return of Christian Nicholson is due to take place on Sunday between the Kurd Judicial Committee and the Consulate General. MP for Hull North, Diana Johnson, says the news will be a relief.
I think Mr Nicholson's been waiting quite a while for that meeting to take place, so the fact it's happening at the weekend is good news.
The 39-year-old former RAF interpreter arrived in Iraq back in January this year to start a new job. Not long after arriving, he was involved in a fatal car accident which left him in prison for 65 days, prompting the police to confiscate his passport, which has never been returned to him due to his bail conditions.
I went back to work. I started asking questions about, and so did my dad, about where my passport was and why I kept getting lied to by the lawyers. And then in the end, I went in one day when I was on leave and they just said, causing too much trouble now, you're fired, and then just get out of the office and don't come back, and that was it.
But despite losing his job, Christian was able to stay in the villa provided for him by the oil company he worked for in Erbil. But he says only a few days ago, ISIS were only 15 minutes away from his house. They've now retreated from near Erbil, but he knows it's not the end.
They will come back. People I know in Erbil, they know they'll come back because they're fanatical. They're not going to give in. They'll probably wait for reinforcements from Syria or whatever, and then they'll try again, and they'll just keep trying and trying, because their aim in life is to die for what they believe in.
And he's been describing to Radio Yorkshire what it's like where he is.
Obviously living in the airport, I see the Hercules mostly taking off and coming and going, refuelling and restocking. I can hear the jets on the night. I think they just do surveillance at the moment, but when they were bombing, I could hear them.
Meanwhile, Christian's wife Michelle and their 3 children are growing increasingly concerned for his safety, with their only contact with him being occasional conversations via Skype. Along with family, friends and MP Diana Johnson, they've been continually fighting for the government to prioritise his situation. Michelle's been telling us it's hard for her to do it, but she has to put on a brave face for the sake of their family.
If I break down, then they're going to realise how serious it is, and I don't want them to realise how serious the situation is, so I am trying to cover it a little bit for them, and it's difficult.
And despite Christian's father liaising with the British Embassy, Michelle admits they've simply not been getting any straight answers.
Every day it's like, oh, we're having a meeting today, and then we just seem to get let down all the time, so I don't know what to think, to be honest. Like I say, we just seem to be given false hope all the time. There's going to be meetings to discuss this, and then we'll find out something else, and we never do. I just don't know when it's going to end.
So I asked Diana Johnson why it's been such a lengthy process.
I think the problem is that obviously there was a criminal offence committed, if you like, and the police have had to investigate, and whilst I acknowledge, that this has been a very long, drawn-out matter, I think for Mr Nicholson, his papers have been taken off him, his travel documents have been taken off him by the authorities, and the British consular officials obviously have to act within the law of that country.
So with Christian's family keeping their fingers crossed for his safe return, Diana's been explaining what it could mean if the outcome on Sunday is a positive one.
It might well be that committee could make a decision, yes, actually we will return Mr Nicholson's documents, and that would then allow him to start making plans to leave Iraq and to return to the UK. So I think that's positive, that meeting's taking place, and I think we've all got our fingers crossed that on Sunday sense prevails and he's able to then start making plans to return to the UK.